Before people freeze to death, they sometimes experience the feeling of being very warm and start taking their clothes off. It's a natural response to a bad situation. Our bodies need to respond in some way, even when it's to our own detriment. And we all want to believe in the warm feelings. In an analysis of the film Sound of Music, Von Trapp family members report that the film is remarkably true to the actual story, but not necessarily in the same sequence or context. Elsa Von Trapp said it didn't happen in real life, but it did happen in the movie. That's probably the most important thing to most people. We can experience happiness, peace, and even joy in the worst of situations. Finding perfect balance is wanting what we need and being aware of which is which. Are we having a good time, feeling the love, or freezing to death? Welcome. Welcome to Illinois Bridging Awareness. I'm Stanley Smith. Last week, we were talking about God's perfect balance and what that means. We have our idea of what is good and bad, and so does God. We just assume it's the same thing. We're living our lives inside the story of someone else's life. It's not our story, it's God's story. The Sound of Music is the story of Baroness Schrader. She had a really good thing going until Julie Andrews showed up. The joke was on both of them because it wasn't about the Baroness or Julie Andrews. It was about the Mother Superior, who was trying to unload her problem on the captain. He was the unwitting foil for God's greater story in the world. Perhaps we all are. We can find the joy when we play our roles accordingly. We all want to look good, but sometimes we need to cash in some of our looking good capital to actually get something done. My friend Nancy told me recently that we need to be listening for the traits of those around us who are building us up and those who are bringing us down. People we want to be around include people who are positive, have empathy, persevere, and express gratitude. And the people who bring us down seem to be eternal pessimists, constant critics, gaslighters, and even energy vampires. Be on the lookout for those who are trying to leverage a gain out of the life of the world at your expense. We don't need to live out their story. Psychologists tell us we can be psychologically healthy and be in such a bad situation that we experience psychological pain and suffering. At the same time, a psychologically ill person can be so isolated and protected that they actually function pretty good. Our particular situation doesn't matter as much as how we respond. Bob Hope was famous for entertaining troops fighting in World War II on his Pacific tours. He looked out at young men fighting with courage, tenacity, and even humor. Mr. Hope brought the light of back home to those people, even though they were in the worst of situations. We want to be entertained and inspired, especially when our lives depend on it. We have our needs, our wants, and even our dreams. We can surround ourselves with negativity to keep us fully engaged with the life of the world, or we can live out our life within God's story in the world. It's a dream, trading in what we want and need for the dream of God's perfect balance. Our lives can be a good experience for ourselves and others, even when the situation is very bad. That's what moves the story along. Maybe it didn't happen in the real life of the world, but it is happening in the story of God's life in the world. And that's what matters most. If you would like to join us at Illinois Bridging Awareness, the Saturday call is every Saturday at 9 a.m. Central Time on Zoom. I will include my email in the description of this video. I'll be happy to send you an invitation. And I look forward to seeing you very, very soon.